So, thank you all for being here. This is our last event of this season. Hopefully we're roaring back for more for next season. And we couldn't think of or have anybody better to celebrate right off of golf's first major with 3 more to go this year. He's won too much to account. By the way, 167 pro golf tournaments, career Grand Slam, 9 majors, 9 senior tour majors, and that's just getting started because it ignores philanthropy, world statesman. He has flown more miles by a factor of millions than any other human alive, or at least golfer alive, and there's so much more to Gary Player than all of that. So without further ado, I would like to introduce someone that I'm honored to know, Gary Player. So we're going to ask a series of questions, just so you know, and then we'll see how much time we've got for audience questions too. We've got a lot to cover. So Gary, you were born on November 1st of 1935. You probably didn't know about it maybe the first couple of years, but when did you first have some inkling of greatness?
You know, that's always a difficult question. I'm nearly 90 now, so it's a long time to go back. At school, I went to, you know, South Africa have the greatest high schools on the planet. The education, the dress code, the manners, the facilities. I just visited a school of mine.
Did you touch the bottom of it?
How's that?
Yeah. Don't play with the bottom.
I went back to my school in South Africa about 5 weeks ago. It was actually inspiring. The children all got a tie and a jacket on. You walk in there, they take their hat off. They say, thank you for visiting the school. Thanks for the financial aid. They got Olympic pools. They got libraries, debating halls, football fields, track fields, but the highest standard of education. The kids here are speaking as many as 4 and 5 languages. Can you believe that? 4 and 5 languages at school. So the level of education is quite remarkable. So I'm at the school, and thank goodness I was at the school because my mother died when I was 9. My brother went to war to fight with the Americans when he was just past 17, left high school. My sister's at boarding school. My father's working in a gold mine, 8,000 feet under the ground for 30 years. So I traveled an hour and a half to school because we were in a very poor town. Hour and a half back, and I'd come home at 9, nobody there, dark house. 9 years of age, having to prepare my own food, make my own bed, wake up at 5:30 in the morning, cannot be late for school. And that was the greatest gift ever bestowed. I lay in bed, I can vividly remember it now at 9 years of age, every night crying, wishing I was dead. The greatest gift I ever had. That's why I became a world champion. So, my mind was more mature than the average young man by a mile because of the adversity. And I repeat, it's the greatest gift bestowed upon man is stress and adversity. But we all say, oh, I live under such stress. There's nobody in this room or anybody that you know in this greatest country on the planet, the United States of America, that doesn't have stress. It's a gift. You can't live without it. It's impossible. So you've got to make it work. Young people say to me, what do you do to become a champion? I said, I can't give you the answer. And so I'm relating this to my age. I didn't know. But subconsciously, I'd had the right mental training. And excelling at sports, I was a 4-letter man at college, in sports, and I realized I had ball sense, and my father asking me to go out and play when I was 14, I said, no, Dad, it's a sissy's game, I don't want to play golf. Thank God I played golf. And I went out and played, and the first time I ever played was a very, very easy golf course. The first 3 holes I had 3 pars. And after that, they were wedges, and after that I had my 8s and 9s, but the bug had got me. And I tell young people to play golf. Every other sport is play and away. Golf is play and stay. You play football, you leave football today, your legs are not working, your knees are operated, your shoulders are bad. Every other sport, you basically, health-wise, you've really hurt you. With golf, you can play. I mean, here I'm nearly 90, scoring my age, beating my age by 15, 16 shots every time I play. I mean, there's just nothing like. I tell young people, listen, it's the passport to the world. If you play golf, you can get off a plane and go anywhere, and it'll be such an asset for you in your life with business, because the people you meet, just the pro-ams that I played on the tour over the years, a lot of pros weren't keen to play in pro-ams. On the regular tour, they're not that keen. I went to the PJ guy and said, you put me in every pro-am you can, because I knew I was going to meet somebody that would be prevalent in my life, and that's the best thing I ever did.
It's perfect to set this next step up. So those first 3 holes were kind to you. You decided to take it up. Obviously successful. 167 wins and too many majors, senior and regular, later. Reflect back on your accomplishments. Give us your perspective on your accomplishments.
Well, I think the Grand Slam on the senior tour is tougher than the regular tour. Because you had to do that when you were 50. You weren't in your prime and you were strong. But the reason that I'm the only man in the world to win the Grand Slam on both tours is because of my fitness. When I turned 50, I was almost as strong and as fit as I was when I was 25, which not many people can boast about. And I do boast about it because it was hard work, it was dedication, it was suffering, it was, a life's dedication. And you can't say about fitness in your body, I'll do it tomorrow. There's no tomorrow. You do it today, otherwise you deteriorate. And so to come out there and win it on both tours was and you're asking me, I mean, I'm not volunteering to tell you what I did, but you asked me. And the other thing is that I did something. I wanted to travel more than anybody and win in different countries, because that's the challenge, to get off a plane and play against the local guys who are good and beat them on their own golf courses. And I won the most national. I won more national championships than Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods together, because I wanted to win all these national championships. That meant a lot to me. We all had different ambitions. There are a lot of players that played over here that couldn't play that well overseas, and vice versa. There were a lot of players in Britain, i.e. Henry Cotton, one of the greatest golfers the world had ever seen. He couldn't play over here. Peter Thompson, one of the greatest golfers the world had ever seen, 5 Open champions. He came over to America. He couldn't play very well on the regular tour. So, it's a massive challenge to get off a plane with time changes, different cultures, different editorials, different food. It's not easy. It's a challenge, and that's what my challenge was. We all have a different challenge.
Well, yeah, a lot of different challenges, but do anybody know what 26 million kilometers? That's a lot of kilometers. I mean, it's circling the world. How many times is circling the world? That's a lot, right?
Well, there's no question that I've traveled more miles than any human being, because I'm not going from here to LA. The last 8 weeks I went Johannesburg, America, Johannesburg, Australia, and Australia here. Now that doesn't sound much when you sit here and you say it. That's over a 30-hour time change. And this is what I've done for 73 years. I mean, I just got on the plane and traveled and got there, but I'm lucky. When I get on a plane, there's something that makes me just cannot stay awake. I just sleep. I traveled with Jack Nicklaus. He said traveling with me is like traveling on his own. And what an asset. If you can't sleep, you could never live it. You wouldn't be alive if you were by it. Because my age, it's actually a miracle I'm alive. Because everything is detrimental to longevity. Sitting on aeroplanes, it used to take 40 hours to fly here. No jets. Smoking here and non-smoking here. So the guy in front of me, he's smoking, I'm in a non-smoking area, but I'm getting all his smoke. So, you know, everything, it was time changes, and different food, different water. You shouldn't be healthy, but thank God I am. I don't argue with that.
Last time we spent time together on camera, I had the temerity to question your ability to do X number of sit-ups and push-ups, which at that point you suspended the interview and you proved to me exactly how many. It cost the cameraman another 3 hours to sit there and listen. But the bottom line is your balance between physical and mental health has to be really significant. How do you maintain that balance?
Well, first of all, you know, it's a combination to excel in golf, which is the most difficult sport of all sports. There's not even a question. Every footballer, I speak to Michael Jordan, I speak to Rod Laver, I speak to people in different sports, and they all say golf is the toughest. And we all know what a tough game it is. So you've got to be right mentally. You've got to train yourself, which takes meditation, it takes prayer, it takes an assortment of things to get your mind right. Then, of course, the physical side of it is very difficult, but you must understand when it comes to health, people are not really concerned, they're not really interested. The greatest country in the world, the United States of America, 80% of people are obese. 80%. I'm in the airport yesterday, and we had a long flight, we were delayed, we were at Augusta yesterday, and I'm sitting in the airport, and honestly, I just look at people and I shudder to think how blessed, how greatly you are blessed to live in this country, and the appreciation is not there. The children are like this. They're going to get obese, they're going to get diabetes. Never, COVID is bad enough. Diabetes is the pandemic focus. Diabetes is the pandemic, the future pandemic. And people just don't care about health. They don't teach it in the schools here. They've taken exercise out of the schools. So that's the big thing that concerns me right now. I look at some of the golfers playing on the turf, and they're always happy. That's why I really admire Tiger Woods. His work ethic is fantastic. Even now with a leg that's basically broken, he's up at 4:30 in the morning exercising his leg with optimism. And optimism is such an important ingredient. Enthusiasm is an important ingredient in your life. And there he is working now. Will his legs last? It doesn't look like it, but he's still believing it is. And so you've got to have a work ethic. What made America this great country? Luck is the residue of design. It wasn't luck, it was hard work. And you've got to maintain that, because I'll tell you what, it's dying. It's dying.
Well, here's the audience participation analog to that. Now, very carefully, anybody that has less than half of the chocolate cake in front of you, stand up. Just stand up. No. No, we're not going to. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But yeah, no, these guys. Look, these guys are great. That guy's not. Let's see. Who else? That guy's not. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have involved in that.
That's all right. You can have it. You know, the big thing is you can't be critical about people. They've got to do what they want to do, and you've got to respect their opinion. If he wants to be overweight, and he wants to smoke, and he wants to drink, and he wants to have late nights and there's an old song, be happy, man. You've got the trouble you make down. And so you've got to respect every man's point of view. You cannot expect everybody to be a physical fitness nut. You can't expect some people. I'm a great believer in reading. I see young people don't worry about reading anymore. Reading is such an essential thing in your life to improve your vocabulary. It leads to so many good things in your life. But you've got to have respect for everybody's opinion. That's the problem that we live in the world today. If you divide it politically, they want to fight you. Why? Why? That's his opinion, or you believe in this, or you believe in that. If you say you believe in God now, people want to crucify you. You know, it's strange.
So after that, the guys that took your chocolate cake and put it under the chair so we didn't notice, you can bring it back. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. But there's an analog that goes with all of the mental and physical balance. which is time management. You were gracious enough to allow me, through your folks, to see everything you do in South Africa, and he's more of a hero there than in America. He's a hero around the world. And the 2,000 winning racehorses at the stud farm at Great Karoo is only one part of your Blair Hall and Sun City and all of that. How do you effectively time manage across all of your companies?
You see, I work on longevity every day of my life because I want to live to 100, whether I will or not. My mother's side of the genes are not good, but I think genes are overrated. I think they're important, obviously, but you cannot basically say I live a long time because I've got good genes. So I work on at least 6 things every day of my life. First of all, I sleep an average of 9 hours a night, an average. I can sleep 11, I can sleep 12, but in some cases, I'm getting to bed late last night, I don't have many hours of sleep. So, but I work on sleep every day. I work on laughing. To laugh is something. There's my friend Danny Hertak, who trained my horses for me. He and I, we just start laughing as we teach her. Laughter is a medicine. Laughter, how's that? That's why I'm pressing. I'm pressing because my right hand is not very. Laughter is a medicine that feeds the soul. Look at the discrepancy when you laugh and when you're feeling miserable. It is massive, massive. So you have a choice to be happy or be sad. Not me, man. I'm gonna laugh. You gotta laugh because it does something to your soul. It's unbelievable. I laugh, I tease. We got 22 grandchildren, 15 American grandchildren, 7 South African. I've got 3 American children and 3 South African children. But I laugh, and we all laugh, and that is such an important thing. You've got to have unmeasured love in your heart, because that teaches you a lot of things. You know, I look back now, getting close to 90, and I think of things that I thought were serious in my life. It didn't mean a damn thing now that I'm getting close, older. We're inclined to manufacture things to make them more serious. And the other thing is, you've got to exercise. Now, there are different degrees of exercise. As you get older, you can't do much, so you walk. Walking is a phenomenal exercise, phenomenal. Golf is funny enough, if you look at them, they all live a long time, majority, because they're walking a lot. So walking is a far greater exercise than people give it credit for. So there are a lot of things that make you live a long time, and I'm in search of that. When I travel to China, I listen to a scientist. The best advice I've been given was by a man in India. He was 95, he looked like he was 40. And I said, give me one thing. One thing that, I know there are a lot, give me one thing to live a long time. Undereat. Undereat. Now I'm on 2 meals a day, and I'd like to get to 1 3/4, that's when I'll be happy. And that's, to me, is, I'm finding that out every day, more and more so. But there are a lot of things. It just doesn't, you know, most people think, well, I'll live a long time automatically. But 1 in every 2 men are dying of cancer now. 1 in every 3 women are dying of cancer. The odds of you getting cancer are very, very high. And if you don't look after your body, it gets even higher. So it just depends on one's ambition and what you want to do.
We'll get into this other golf stuff in a second, but in the context of longevity for golfers who should covet your opinion, you know, Jack wins his last major at 46, Phil at 50. What advice do you have for talented golfers to respect the game physically and play longer?
Well, they've been subjected to many examples with Tiger Woods and myself, and a man called Frank Stranahan. He and I started the weight training in golf. They all said we were nuts. Even the Golf Channel today, that guy, what's his name? What's his name? Yeah, he's very arrogant. He's very arrogant. Even he is against all this weight training, and he sees the guys doing it. Tiger Woods played his best when he was like this. They see it. They see me do it. They saw Frank Stratton doing it. They see Rory doing it. But they see it as they say, I see it, but I don't believe it. And that's quite strange. So, and I've got all my stuff here.
No, you didn't. Longevity for
Longevity,
yeah.
So,
For golfers.
So they've got to realize, if you want to last a long time, you know, when I play golf, and I've done this 15 million times. Look at my hip. Now watch this. Look at it goes. Look at it twist. Every golfer of note has had new hips, new spines, new knees, something. I've had none of it. Because there's a reason. There's a reason. Because this here, man, this is like a... That's why, because that's what holds your body together. So they've got to realize what makes you, well, of course, today, you know, you take Scheffler. He wins the Tournament Players Championship the other day. He won $4.3 million, more money than Palmer and I won with all our majors on a regular tour. It's quite remarkable. But that's great because that's what we worked for, to improve things. So I think that's fantastic for him. So I don't think money's nothing, never ever drove me. Never ever drove me. I wanted to be the best. And Arnold and Jack wanted to be the best. And we didn't actually worry about money. There was never a conversation, funny enough, about money. Now they're private jets. And the guy finishes 30th, makes more money than I made when I was leading money winner. So, but that's fine. That's progress. That's progress. But the big thing is, what's got to happen with the money on the tours? The young guys are going to realize they have a responsibility. I mean, sometimes they play in a pro-am, they hardly talk to their amateur. And this guy's paying money, and it's through the amateurs. You guys are important, not the golf pros. If it wasn't for you guys and these big companies, there's no golf tournaments. So, man, when you play with a guy in a pro-am, you better treat him like he's never been treated before, if you want the game to continue. The game is very healthy. TV is great. You've got good people running the tournaments, so it's very healthy.
You mean you never woke up in the last 80 some odd years and said, well, recently, man, if I had only been born 50 years later, look at what my checkbook would have in it?
No, never ever. Never ever, because I think I lived in the, because everybody, they're regated, it's an opinion. I think I lived in the greatest time of my life. You know, I think my brother had to go to war. I never had to go to war. You know, I think of the respect that people had and the good manners and the hard work. The time that I lived was probably the greatest time that ever existed.
We're going to shift to golf for a couple of minutes, then come back to philanthropy because we're going to need to spend a lot of time on that. I know we are. You captained the South African Olympic golf team in '16 in Rio. How has golf benefited from the Olympics and vice versa?
Well, I think I'm correct in saying that probably the most widely watched is the Olympic Games in sport, and that's something that every country, this is the thing, every single country that takes part in the Olympic Games, which is more than any other sport that I can think of, to see golf, which was in the Olympic Games a long time ago, now readmitted into the Olympic Games, gave golf a big boost. And golf has taken, I know COVID was responsible in getting a lot of golf because you weren't locked up, unnecessary, I believe, and it gave golf a big boost.
Why has golf not caught on in Brazil as much as we think it probably should have?
Well, I think the economy has a lot to do with it. They're having a tough time with the economy, and also I don't know to what extent you've got to have golf in the schools, because once you hit that ball, it's like I didn't want to go and play golf, but once I hit that ball, boy, that gets you. There's something about this game. It's like a drug. It's like a drug. So you've got to start getting it in the schools.
What would have happened if you shanked one of those first 3 holes? You think you would have played soccer? Well, you're too small for soccer. What would you have played?
Well, I've always told my brother when he was going to fight in the war, and I stood there, and he said to me, "What do you want to do one day?" I said, "I'd like to be a professional sportsman." He says, "You're too weak and you're too small." And he bought me a set of second-hand weights and said, "Promise me, I I might not come back. He did come back and turned out to be the world's leading conservationist. And I used those weights, and I made a promise, and I've adhered to it.
Hey, by the way, this is not a plug that came up because we talked about it, but I was lucky enough to get the book by Ian Player, and it's an incredible book about the history of kind of life on this planet, and it's an amazing family, I think you could say. So let's get into ecology through the back door on this. You've designed many, hundreds of golf courses, and you got to worry about the ecosystem while you're designing it. Comment on golf and water.
Well, first of all, the world will be short of 25% of water by the year 2025. If you look at people, how they have showers, leave the taps running, it's raining on golf courses, you see irrigation going, there's great wastage that's taking place, and populations are increasing. And there are many places, even in America, where they were carrying water in buckets. So in places like Africa and Australia and many other places in the world, I mean, you've never seen devastation until you've seen no water. And so, but the human being is very resilient. I was in Thailand 3 years ago, and these young South African boys were making water out of humidity and supplying the big hotels with it. I was really impressed. I know there's desalination and other forms of water, but golf courses, they should never be allowed to use potable water. You should have to use water that has been refined, sewage water, because we don't want to keep pouring water. If you go to Los Angeles, I went to San Diego and I met with the municipality. I said, what do you do with your sewage water? Well, we've got a pipe that goes 3 miles out into the sea, and when the storms are bad, the sewage washes back on the beach, and we close the beach for 10 days, we clean it up. So this is a big factor, what are we pouring into the ocean? I mean, it's frightening, the plastic and the sewage, etc., etc., etc. So this is something that we've got to use our water intelligently, and we will be forced to use it intelligently, and there are great strides on that way. It's quite a complicated subject.
As you continue with the Gary Player design and the kind of landmark courses that you've done as well, you're a little worried that the 400-plus yard drivers are going to outdrive the economics of what it takes to build a golf course?
Well, the concept of golf on this side and what's happening, technology is outracing this. So there's not a question. When I said on BBC, I said one day they'll hit the ball 400 yards. This guy said, you're talking hogwash. It's impossible. Now I'm saying, and I know I'm right, 120% right, they will hit the ball 500 yards in the future. I saw a man the other day with my own eyes hit at 475. Now, we haven't had a big man play golf yet. What happens when you get these football players, man, LeBron James playing golf? It's going to go 500 yards. So the game is going to be ruined. And then, of course, the fertilizer they put on the fairways. What it does to your soil, it just destroys it. And the mowers, what a mower costs today. What labor costs. You know, the expenses, we're in for trouble. So we can't just build in the golf. You know, I've just played at Augusta yesterday. We went to the new tee at 30. Now they paid something like plus minus for the hole and the fairway. They put $30 million for one hole. So they could make the 13th longer. They made it 30 yards longer. I played my grandson who's here today. He'd have driven a 5-iron. That's not a par 5. Where are we going? In time they'll hit it back to a drive and a wedge. It's just a matter of time, a par 5. They'll hit it driving 500 yards. I mean, I saw this guy at Trump International the other day, and the practice tee is like 350 yards. They got trees there, and this guy hit the ball, and he hit it, and as it got to the trees, it was climbing. 475 yards. I mean, either he's got a gorilla's blood in his family or something. I don't know. It's the first time I saw a spark come off green grass. I mean, I was shocked. At such clubbing speed, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And we're in our infancy. So we're going to have to cut the ball back, not 20 yards. That's one club. You've got to cut it back 50 yards or 60 yards, but only for pros. Leave the game for the amateurs. Let them have fun. Let them do it they damn well like. You need them to play golf to keep it going.
By the way, you don't, whether you want me to do it or not, it's irrelevant. Shout out to James, who is Gary's grandson, who is here. He's about 6'7". He's strapping. He hits the ball 550, 600 off its where are you? Where are you? Oh, you didn't want to say. See, he's not
Well, I
going to
said to him, how come you're in our family tree? I don't know what the hell it is. All our family tree is 6 foot something. Look at your height. He says, Grandpa, you can have my height, but give me 18 majors.
Well, it's early. He may be able to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the philanthropic side of Gary Player and the organization. 100 million, millions of dollars for charity. A, kudos to you, obviously, but B, as importantly, what is your view of athletes as role models and their obligation to give back?
Well, I'm very impressed with athletes, what they're doing and their charities and the monies they raise. Our company has one way or another raised $100 million or more. And when you struggled like I did as a kid, funny enough, I always said, it's interesting why I never said, and this is what fascinates me, I never said, if I'm a champion one day, here I am, nothing in the world, but something made me say, when I'm a champion one day, I'm going to look after people, because now I know what it's like to struggle. People talk about legacies. 167 tournaments, 165 tournaments, only man to win the Grand Slam on both tours. The Medal of Freedom, greatest honor bestowed upon me from the American government, all the national championships. That's not my legacy. My legacy is what did I do to improve the lives of people, because I had the experience. And this is where America is supreme, not only in many other aspects, but they're supreme at the charities. Old ladies meet you at the airport, at the golf tournaments. They're all involved in community work. This country is phenomenal at helping. And yet, we took the other day, we gave a school in Philadelphia, I think it was $350,000. And then we did one down here in West Palm Beach, the Place of Hope, we gave them, I think, $250,000. And you look at these children and you say to yourself, in America, that 1 out of every 7 children are below the poverty line. You know, and yet you'll give countries that don't like you lots of money.
Right.
I will never, ever understand.
So the charity piece, obviously, it dominates and it's incredibly important. Are we doing enough to promote diversity in charities? We seem to be making significant strides these days, but obviously more to be done. So talk about that for a
Well,
minute.
there's always more to be done, obviously. And, you know, what concerns me when I see, a $31 trillion debt, that worries me very much. And so, you know, when you see inflation going on, now, with these kind of things happening, it's harder for people to give more money, you know, to the environment has a lot. And the way circumstances are financially determine how much people will give. And the better the economy, etc., the more money people will give. But I think America is supreme at looking after people. Really they do. But we can always do a better job.
Yeah. So, do you know what next year is? You know what the 50th anniversary of something significant in your life next year is? I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, you know, I've got a lot of anniversaries.
Yeah,
When you get
no.
to 90, man, you get a lot of anniversaries.
All right, well, let me give you a hint. It's St. Augustine Pontevedra. It's your 50th anniversary of your induction into the Hall of Fame, which is incredible, right? Am I right? 1974.
Yeah, that is very important, but a lot more important things in life.
All right, well, no, I understand that.
I put that's very nice, and I'm very thankful for it. But it's not at the top of my
No,
list.
but you know why I said it that way? It's just to give you some perspective about this man. Hall of Famer, 50 years ago, people appreciated him to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, you can go through 4 life cycles of horses when you're 50, or even more. Yeah. But listen, the bottom line too, from this question's perspective, is standing alongside or symbolically alongside of Ben Hogan and Sam Snead, and of course Jack and Arnie. I'm sure it was a magical evening for you, but it's also a great honor, and you know, comment on that just a little bit.
Well, first of all, at my age, all my friends are dead. So, most of them are. And a lot more going to peel off. But, you know, with Arnold Palmer, who was, he was such a wonderful man. Such a terrific ambassador for America, as is Jack Nicklaus, who is my best friend at the moment, who's not doing well health-wise. And you had Ben Hogan, who was the best golfer I ever saw in my life. And Sam Snead, debatably best athlete, naturally the best athlete I ever saw. And Gene Sarazen, phenomenal golfer. There's not enough respect today amongst golfers to realize that 100 years ago there were phenomenal golfers. Bobby Jones might be the best player that ever lived. He played with a walking stick as a shaft, a ball that went 80 yards less, raked the bunkers with his feet, spike marks on the green, etc., 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 etc. Even in my time, golf today is nowhere near the same game. Not anywhere near the same game. You can't make comparisons between eras. It's impossible.
Is it easier or harder today?
Man, I'm nearly 90 and I find golf, and this is not being boastful, I find golf an easy game today.
Wow.
In my prime, I found it unbelievably difficult. Unbelievably difficult. And here I'm getting 90. I mean, I go at my age and I shoot par. I shot 69, 67 not long ago. At my age, that's beating your age by 20 shots.
There's the headlines, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
really, I mean,
Yeah.
it's remarkable. I mean, the ball goes so far, and you hit a ball on the toe and it stays on the fairway. The last time I missed a fairway, the Pope was an altar boy. The old Pope. It's a different game, man. I mean, you put on greens now, it's like a snooker table. Honest to goodness. You look at a green, and this happens every day. I say, is this a mirage? I mean, these greenkeepers do such a great job, and I looked at the stuff we played on. Oh my goodness. There was a man in this room very few people ever heard of. The best putter that ever lived, Bobby Locke from South Africa. He putted on junk. If he putted on these greens today, I don't know what the hell would happen. No, it's every bunker now is raked with a machine. In Timbuktu, in Johannesburg, in New York, and Florida, it's the same machine. And it's the same texture. I mean, it's just, when you know, these folks would be quite surprised. When I first started, if you hit the ball on the green and it buried in the green, you had to either play it or declare it unplayable. Never mind spike marks. How about a ball that's buried in the green? And also, how about stymies, and the ball is next to the hole, you got to chip it over. You couldn't say, mark the ball, please. So, I mean, it's a different game. So, I'll go back to 1955. I go to St Andrews, my first trip away from home. I've got 200 pounds in my pocket. That's my total wealth, of which my father bought me a new set of clubs and got an overdraft in the bank to give him. Wilson Turf Riders. I ride over there. I sign up a contract for £500 a year. But I arrive at St Andrews and I try all these different hotels, too expensive. So I went down on the beach where they did Chariots of Fire. And I stepped in a sand dune. It was actually terrific. Grass covered, the wind blew over my head. I put my waterproofs on, my head on my golf bag. Had a great night, the price was right. I went to a hotel the next day, right opposite the 18th green at St Andrews, the most famous golf course in the world. And I got a room for 10 shillings and sixpence, $1.50. They said it was facing the sea, it was facing the WC. The room was so damn small as I put my key in the keyhole, the window cracked. I mean, this is, now I get on the first tee, St Andrews, the home of golf. Whoa, man, I'm nervous. Every top player in the world has played there. And the fairway is so wide, Ray Charles couldn't miss it. It's so wide. I tee the ball up there, and I'm so nervous, and I'm, please don't miss this fairway. And I hook it, crikey, and it hits that white fence, and I think it's going out of bounds. It comes back in, thank goodness. So I went to pick up my tee, and this is interesting. When we played, we paid 2 cents a tee. So that's equivalent to 20 cents today. If we charged everybody 20 cents a tea for today, you would pick every tea up. Now that I walk around now even, I'm a millionaire, but I'm picking up teas. I mean, this is something. So anyway, I go to pick up my tea, and this big starter, Scott, says, "Hey laddie, come here a minute, lad. Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from South Africa." He said, "And what would your name be, lad?" I said, "Gary Player." "Yeah, what is your handicap?" I said, "No, I'm a pro." He said, "You're a pro?" He says, "You must be a hell of a chipper and putter." So, you've got to be careful when you ridicule people in life. It comes back to haunt you. 3 years later, I'm the youngest man to ever win the British Open. And I come back, he sees me, he goes, "It's a mirage." He says, "It's impossible. You can't even win the British Open with that swing." I took him inside and I bought him a little whiskey and said, "Yeah, be careful about things in life. You've got to be very careful." But then I go to the British Open, and I don't have the money to fly back from the States to South Africa to be with my wife, to have our first child and daughter born. But my wife was, she would do anything for me. I mean, it was phenomenal. So I said, "I'll meet you in London." So there we go up to Scotland, and this is a true story. I go up there, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to go and practice at Muirfield." And I walk in the club there, and there's the club secretary, Colonel Evans Loan. "What do you want here?" You know, those colonels are tough, man. "What do you want here?" I said, "Well, sir, I've come to practice for the Open." He says, "My boy," he puts his hand like, verbatim, "do you realize where you are?" I said, "Yes, Muirfield." He says, "You're not playing here, my boy. This is a private club. This is like Augusta or Pine Valley or any other place. You just don't walk in there." I said, "Well, sir, I'm poor, and I've got a wife and a newborn baby, and I'm going to win the Open." He says, "You what?" He says, "How old are you?" I said, 23. He said, "Do you realize most boys at 23 have never played in this tournament, and you telling me you're going to win? Not only are you not practicing here, but you're an arrogant young bastard as well." So help me, I went like this. I said, "I beg of you, sir, I beg of you, let me practice here." He succumbed, and I became great friends with him. And he sat in his office and he watched me practicing every day, and he watched me practicing with his binoculars at number 15. I was hitting a drive and a wedge. So I come and he says, "You better realize, son, when the wind blows here, the birds walk." And he says, "You'll stand on the practice tee and hit a full drive, and the caddy will throw the ball back at you. The wind blows so hard here." He said, "You could hit a 3-iron or a 2-iron to that hole." So I started hitting for the 6-iron for 3 days, hit a 2-iron and a 3-iron to the green. Wouldn't you believe in those days? Now listen to this carefully. We played 36 holes in a 5-hole. If you tied, you played 36-hole playoff the next day. Young pros think you're talking hogwash because now it's 1 hole. So I started hitting 3-irons and 2-irons. Wouldn't you believe it? The last day I'm 8 behind, and the wind comes up, and I'm telling my sponsor I'm going to win. He says, "My dear fellow," he's English, "you don't stand a chance. Impossible. Absolutely out of the question." So what happens? 3-iron in the morning, birdie. 2-iron in the afternoon, birdie, and I win the tournament. So then the club, the guys getting stood like this, like he won the damn thing. Letting me practice and play, but it's been quite an epic journey I've had, quite an epic journey. It's fantastic, and I've seen such great changes in my life, coming from a country like South Africa that practiced apartheid, which was so sad. It's hard to believe that the human being could be like that. And then you meet a man like Nelson Mandela. I spent 3 years with him, and he was one of my 5 heroes. The love and no bitterness was extraordinary, and gave us great hope.
It's kind of hard to follow up with any question in any context after that, but your low professional round was a 59. But do you think you have any idea of how many times you've shot your age?
Well, I've beaten, shot my, no, I know exactly, 3,072 times on that night.
We knew that. I mean, but who's counting, right?
In a row.
I mean, that's
In a row.
All right, in a row.
In a row.
And if I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but you've said it already, but you came from Augusta the last couple of days, right?
Yesterday.
Yeah. And would you favor this audience with what you shot?
Shot with a 7 on the last hole. I hit my best second shot all day. and I chipped it over the green. 7, and I shot 76 with one hand. But, you know, Trevino is funny, you know. Trevino, he's one of my dear friends. He says, what the hell are you boasting about beating your age? He says, damn it all, you shoot par. He says, if you have a bad day, you're 5 over, and you're telling me that you've beaten your age. He says, when you've done that at 95, come and tell me how good it is.
Probably right.
But it's true. I mean, honest to goodness, I mean, I've got to shoot, what am I going to shoot? 16 over. 16 over. I mean, gee whiz, I could do that blindfolded, seriously. We're talking about blindfolded. I've got a friend in the room here today, Dennis Walters. Where are you sitting, Dennis?
Here you go.
Where are you sitting?
He's right up there.
Right up there, I can't see him. Now, Dennis had an unfortunate accident. He's in a wheelchair. And he came to South Africa when I was in my prime. He gave me a good whipping out there. He could have been a champion golfer. And he's riding in his cart. To cut a long story short, the cart goes over him and he's paralyzed and he's waist down. He's the best wheelchair golfer in the planet today.
Here's my final question for you, and we'll open it up for a couple of questions. Where is Gary Player 10 years from now?
What a question. Well, I'll be remarried with 3 children. That's my anger is a bloody miracle.
Wow.
I tried it, but I got a stiff neck. That's it.
Oh boy. It's a nightclub, ladies and gentlemen.
Put that off your camera, will you please?
Really? A couple of questions.
Wait, I'm going to tell you. You know, I'm still in great shape. My body's, I'm nearly 88, but I'm really 50. Serious. I'd whip most 40-year-olds in the gym when I'm ready. Every day some lady comes out and says, hello, Gary. How are you? I said, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? She says, how old are you? I said, well, I'm nearly 88. She said, are you in shape? I said, yes, a minute. She said, wow. She says, listen, are you married? I said, no, I've done my morning and it's over now. She said, will you put me on your list? I say, have you got a jet? She says, no. So that's the first disadvantage. And then I look at it, I think, hell, if I had to wake up next to that in the morning, I'd commit suicide. She says the same about me, though.
We've definitely got the post-golf calling if he ever needs it. We got time for a couple of questions.
You see what I mean about laughing? You better laugh, man.
Clearly, you got to laugh about this.
And we'll go to the question up here. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What is the greatest moment in golf that you remember?
I think when you win your first major championship, the British Open is, for me, is the most important tournament in the world, historically. You know, we sat at the British Open last year at St Andrews, and we all had the champions dinner of all the champions. We sat in a room and I looked at the wall, it said 1754. Think about that. And every great champion in the world had sat in that room. I was in awe. And so, you know, the British Open for me, why it's the greatest championship. Because a yardage book doesn't mean a damn thing. It can be a 150 yards, it can be a wedge today, it can be a sandwich tomorrow, and the following day it can be a 3-wood. So you've got to use instinct. And you play at different times, and you get good weather and bad weather. No time for feeling sorry for yourself. And you have to play out backwards sometimes. And you say that's not fair. Well, life isn't fair. So it's the ultimate challenge. And so, but I think I was so enamored in wanting to win the Grand Slam that when I won the US Open to complete the Grand Slam before it was a big day in my life, obviously.
Rick, we have a question right here.
Hi, what would you say that you, Mr. Palmer, and Mr. Nicholas, an attribute that you three shared in your golf?
Well,
That made you so great. Sorry.
We loved golf so much. And we never got like Tiger Woods $3 million to go somewhere. we got $20,000, which was fine. We wanted to promote golf worldwide. And I'm going to go as far as to say there will never be another big three like the three of us. Not golf-wise, that's possible. They've got to win it. We won over 350 tournaments between us, okay? And we won over 50 majors, over 55 majors, regular and senior tour. So for somebody to beat that record, it's going to take some monumental effort. But that's possible, that players will come along in the future and be better than us. But where we were different, we lived with each other. We lived in each other's homes. We lived in each other's aeroplanes. We lived in each other going down the gold mine, being on my ranch, being at his home, meeting and being with his grandchildren and Arnold's grandchildren, and having 3 wives that were just a dream. So we had a friendship, and the word is a bond. Now today it's such big business. They play the tournament, up in their jet, they go, and it's understandable. It's a massive business. It's a different world. Complete this, I said, golf's not the same game. So we had a friendship and a bond, and we wanted to be the ambassadors for the game of golf and to promote it. And man, we went into all corners of the globe promoting golf, where the young guys today wouldn't even think about going. So that was something special.
Did you, and then we'll do one more question. You guys have so much interrelated family, personal friendships, kids, grandkids, and you all finished first, second, and third to each other a lot. Did you all leave it on the course, or were ever certain times where you kind of didn't talk to each other for a little while because you were, upset's the wrong word, but you got beat by a guy and you wanted to kind of leave him alone for a little while?
No. I think that was just something that was automatic. We realized we were going to beat each other. And I think we beat each other pretty much equally so. And we realized that's part of the game because we understood golf. We knew the history of golf. And no, never carried it forward. Never, funny enough. You know, when I got on the golf course, I love the way these psychiatrists say, you've got to relax. Go out there and have fun. What? Were you making a living for your family? It's different now. You can play badly and be a multi-millionaire. Not bad. You can play average and be a multi-millionaire. Man alive, I was so irritable I'd bite your damn head off when I was playing. And when I got off the golf course, I was fine. Before the golf tournament, I was fine. When I got on the golf course, I don't know why, something switched and I became so mean and irritable. And look at Tiger, man, he made me look like a schoolboy. I mean, you play 4 days, you only win by 1 shot. 4 days of golf, walking around the golf course in all kinds of weather and conditions, and you win by 1 shot. It's a quarter of a shot a day that makes you famous or infamous. So if you put it into perspective, it's quite remarkable. And if you watch now, Trevino was a joker, but once he got within 30 yards of the ball, he switched off. Palmer, all of them were so focused. And there's one golfer on the tour right now who has the best swing in the world, but he's not winning the majors. And he needs to change his attitude, I think. But anyway, that's the game.
We're leaving him out of it. That was pretty good. Did you have one?
Here we go, one last question.
One last one.
You can ask 5 more. If you've got a question, I'm here to answer.
What's your thoughts on the lift?
The lift tour, look, you know, there comes a time when you can't win on the regular tour. And there are some players on the lift tour that can win, with all due respect. But when they offer that kind of money, they've got to take it because they've got families. And I mean, they never played a chance to make a lot of money, and they should take it. But what has happened now, and this is just in a nutshell, that upsets me, it's become a war. And I love the game so much. And I see what the PGA did for me. It fulfilled my dream for all possibilities in the future. And I just hate to see the war that's taking place. And I'd just like to see that stop. If you join the lift tour, I don't see how you're going to have a legacy in future. If that's your thought, I've already said legacies don't mean that much to me, but 99.99 recurring people, legacies mean a lot to them. So You won't if you join the lift tour. Are you going to have a legacy? Do people worry about it? Maybe they say money in the bank for my family is more important. So again, you've got to have respect for everybody. Respect for everybody. They got their tour, play it. Let us play our tour. That's it.
There you go.
We got a
Yes,
question
sir.
up here.
Yeah. Oh, go.
No, the man with, yes, sir.
Regular question. So you said you're down to 2 meals a day. Do you have a special diet, and when are your meals? What keeps
Well,
you
I
in
try
shape like that?
to avoid dinner because you don't put gas in your car when you park at the garage at night. Right? So you don't need dinner. Dinner is what kills you. Dinner is what puts the weight on. Particularly if you have bread and meat and bacon and sausages and all that fatty food. That's what puts the weight on you. And once you put weight on you, you're starting to die. I'm in the racehorse business. There's my trainer. Ask him. You can have 2 horses of equal ability. Put 10 pounds on the one, which is equivalent to 1 pound on a human being. That other horse will whip him.
Does he train you or the horse? Last one, back there.
Early in your career, how many hours a day would you practice, and what percentage of your practice was the short game?
I practiced all day long. See, I was an animal. I was blessed. One of the greatest gifts bestowed upon me is energy. I never got tired. Even now, after a day like yesterday, the day we had and the delays in the airport and coming back and getting to bed after 12 o'clock, I got into bed and I went on my hands and knees, which I do every day of my life because a man is never so tall as when he's on his knees. And I just, one of the things I said last night, thanks for the energy. Most people of my age, they would have crawled into bed. They couldn't do it. So it's, energy is a big thing. And when I practiced, I never got tired. I beat and I beat and I beat. But I spent most of my time, well, I say that now. Now I don't practice anymore. But my short game, you see, you can never master the long game, but you can master the short game. You look at Jordan Spieth, his short game is the best in the world. He has trouble with his swing. It's getting better, but he's had trouble with his swing and he's a bit wild off the tee. And but his short game is the best in the world, and he's a competitor. Other guys on the tour got a way better swing than him, but they're not the competitor that he is.
I will tell you, at the end of this, it is a profound honor and pleasure to share time with you. You are the best in the world. And one is